Hey guys, Lunderspawn27 here, and welcome to another edition of Jojo Part 4 anime manga comparison. Yeah, I know, it's been a while since the last one, but there's a reason for the delay. Had a lot of stuff to deal with in my life. Made 2 update videos about it, so if you want to know why I was late, the video's in the description box down below. Anyway, because of the delay, I'll be covering the episodes that I missed, starting with episode 7 of Diamond Is Unbreakable. So once again, spoiler alert if you haven't read the manga, watch the episodes, play the games, anything JoJo related, because apparently I have to be more specific with my spoilers, so I don't want to hear any complaints about being spoiled, okay? Got it? Good. Anyway, lots to cover, so let's get started with episode 7. Episode 7 covers chapters 289 to 293 from volume 31. The new enemy stand user is Toshikazu Hazamada, who also went through a height change. Yes, like Tamami in the manga, Toshikazu started off as a regular-sized high school student. Hell, his picture looks much different compared to his actual appearance. Then on the final pages on chapter 293, he's visibly short, probably around Koichi size. So because of that, Toshikazu's design in the anime was based on his latest design from the manga, using his short appearance. I already speculated why Tamami's height was changed, so I don't want to go through that again. I still question why, but this isn't going to be a thing that'll happen to every new stand user introduced. Now, the beginning of the arc starts differently in both the anime and the manga. In the episode, there was an opening scene with Toshikazu's friend and what happened to him. After the opening, the next scene is Tamami telling Josuke and Koichi about Toshikazu and the rumor on what happened to his friend. Honestly, the opening scene was a nice touch to the episode, and the purpose for it was to show the viewers what happened to him according to what Tamami told Josuke and Koichi, and getting the viewers thinking on what Surface's ability might be. However, in the manga, the arc begins with Tamami outside the school waiting for Josuke and Koichi, also scaring some girls for some reason. Josuke's still skeptical with Tamami because of the events in the previous arc, which results in Tamami lunging at Josuke trying to attack him while Koichi tries to pull him away, which is pretty funny considering Tamami's size and Josuke's look on his face. Too bad that was left out from the anime. It would have been funny to see that. So you can clearly tell that the episode went with a different route, using additional scenes like the opening scene and Toshikazu spying on Josuke and Koichi searching for him in the school, but still keeping most of the scenes and dialogue from the manga, except for a few. For example, in the manga, Tamami mentions that the photo of Toshikazu was taken last year that he managed to get somehow, and Tamami mentioning that Toshikazu became a stand user because of Keicho, like him, and the possibility that he has the bow and arrow, which he doesn't. By the way, during the scene when Josuke was searching through Toshikazu's locker, there was an Easter egg in the anime. It's the manga that he had in his locker. It's Weekly Shonen Jump, but it's what's on the cover that was interesting. It's Pink Dark Boy, a manga created by soon-to-appear Part 4 character Rohan Kishibe. Ah, David's production, I see what you did there. Oh, and yes, I've heard about Rohan's manga, I just don't know what it's about. Now, before I continue, there is also another thing I have to address. When Surface, in Josuke's form, introduced himself, the name of the subtitles, courtesy of Crunchyroll, was Show Off. But the stand's real name was shown in the exact same scene. You know what grinds my gears? When stand names are just simple words, but they have to be changed anyway because the names are based on music bands and songs. Well, this is the case with Surface. Its namesake is from an American R&B group, but it's also a word in the freaking dictionary. It's like with Echoes, but at least the changed name is a synonym. And when you have both names shown in the exact same scene, it's just irritating. Okay, I just had to get that out of the way. Now, let's get to the first encounter with Surface. There were some references that were left out from the episode, only the Perman reference remained. The ones that were left out were Widget, a cartoon about a purple alien that could transform into anything, and when Surface was angry when Josuke didn't know what he was talking about, he mentioned BB Queens, a 90s J-pop group, and Bisco, a popular snack in Japan that consists of 2 graham crackers with icing in the middle that comes in different flavors. Why they were left out from the episode is something that I don't know. Aside from references, several dialogue from the manga was also left out from the scene. When Koichi was shocked that Surface can talk like Josuke, he compared him to a spot the difference picture quiz shown in magazines, but the one major detail that hasn't been mentioned from any of the characters was the one thing that you can tell between the stand and Josuke: the screw on its forehead. It's the one thing that we viewers of the episode were aware of, but it was never mentioned from either Koichi or Josuke. It could have been implied that Koichi knew, but he at least thought about it in the manga. Why that was left out? I don't know, to make Surface more of a surprise? Then again, this major detail can only be noticed if you look up close at Surface, which now I think about it, why didn't Tamami notice the screw? It could be because, according to Koichi, it looked like a smudge on his forehead. That or Tamami's line of sight wasn't on Surface's forehead, but more on his eyes. So that might explain it. Fortunately, there were some scenes added to the episode that I did like. The first one was Koichi and Josuke's epic bro fist. I just love that because it just shows how they're willing to help each other out. The second one was when they give each other a high five after successfully tricking Toshikazu thanks to Josuke's plan on relying on echoes. Both scenes did a good job adding more to their friendship and how they got each other's backs. It also shows how Koichi can be very helpful to his friend now that he's a stand user. Then there's the third scene, which was something I wasn't expecting. It introduced a character early in the series than in the character's own story arc. It's Yukako Yamagishi. It showed her observing Josuke and Koichi while blushing, implying that she's crushing on one of the characters. Now, her crush is revealed later on in the next arc, but after rewatching the episode, I found a way to determine who it is. When Josuke is out of her line of sight, only Koichi remained. After Koichi left, Yukako was still staring, turning to the direction where he was running. That hints that Yukako was blushing at Koichi, which was revealed to be true in episode 8. And oh boy, do I have a lot to say about her. Now, in this episode, it seems noticeable that the blood and violence was toned down in some scenes. It's still there, just toned down. I mean, Josuke having a pen piercing the skin near his eye and Surface chopping one of the bikers on the head looked bloodier and more violent in the manga. Seriously, Josuke nearly getting his eye gouged looked way more cringeworthy. I mean, Jesus, it was a lot closer to his eye than it was in the episode. Plus, even when Koichi was on the ground after getting hit by Josuke hitting the door, he looked more beat up in the manga than in the episode. Then again, you could say it was thanks to Crazy Diamond, but Koichi still looked much worse in the manga. Not to mention that look he had when he took that hit, but now that I think about it, it looks kind of weird and a bit unintentionally funny. Not sure why, but maybe it's because of how it was animated. As for the rest of the scenes, like Surface hitting Tamami with a brick, they're still fine in terms of the violence and blood. However, there was a bit of censorship, if you want to call it that kind of bugged me. In the manga, when Surface hits his arm on the locker, it gets a bit mangled and pieces of wood and splinters were sticking out, hurting Josuke's arm in the process. Now, nothing happened to their arms in the episode, but in the manga, the damage inflicted upon them was more noticeable. But that's not what bugged me. After Toshikazu and Surface leave the school, his arm's okay. How? I mean, throughout the whole scene, his arm wasn't as mangled as before, but he still had pieces of wood sticking out. Then it became less and less noticeable until his arm looked like nothing happened when they're outside. Can Surface repair itself as long as he still has parts of him attached, since it's bound to the mannequin? Well, it's never explained, so it's best to say, because Araki. This is what I'm going to say from now on whenever something in Jojo happens that isn't explained or is complete BS. Anyway, the scene where Josuke tries to call Jotaro to warn him about Toshikazu was more extended in the manga. He called the front desk to find Jotaro, but when the front desk guy had his back turned, Jotaro was already leaving the hotel. This part also tells the readers how long Jotaro was staying in Morio and how much time has passed since he arrived, which has been a month. There was also another scene that was cut off from the episode, and it was when Josuke was asking some schoolgirls who saw Surface leaving first which way he went. Too bad that was cut off because I think this is the first time in the manga where he actually talks to schoolgirls. But on the plus side, at least they kept that map sequence in the episode, which I actually thought was a very nice touch to the arc. However, in the manga, there was some narration that explained Toshikazu's plan A to attack Jotaro. Plan A was to cut Jotaro's throat with that box cutter, which explains why he had that with him, when in the anime, it's just implied that he'll stab him with a pen. That plan was actually Plan B. The narration also explained how despite the best security, one persistent guy can always break through, meaning how Toshikazu tricked Jotaro. even referencing the attempted assassination of former US President Ronald Reagan. So this narration was a good way to imply that even with Jotaro's calm and coolness attitude and star platinum, there can be at least one person that can get past his defenses. By the way, because of this arc, the scene where Toshikazu hits his own stand became infamous thanks to the Duang manga translation.
Damn, it hurts! Are you okay, Realtor? I would. That's stupid.
Duang. Anyway, there's also another scene to address, and that is the fact that Toshikazu attempted to make advances with his own stand when he made it copy his crush. In the episode, he said that he didn't get anywhere, but in the manga, he said that he couldn't have his way with her. While his words were a bit toned down in the episode, it's still clear what he was trying to do. Get it on with his own stance. That's just creepy. Not just how he used Surface, but the fact that he was trying to do that with his own stand. I mean, what the hell? Then again, I don't know if stand users would do some kinky shit using their stands on themselves or with someone else, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fanfic, fan arc, or doujin based on that. Oh god, knowing that there's something like that existing in the world is just weird. Let's just move on before I think further into this, please. Okay, there's a part when Josuke and Koichi reach Jotaro first, who, by the way, was reading a newspaper while waiting in the manga. Just wanted to point out that little detail. I never really got why Jotaro didn't wonder why Josuke took a pen from his pocket, which was actually shown in his jacket in the manga, and you can clearly tell that it looked like he noticed. I mean, Josuke's warning him about Toshikazu, and he takes a pen while talking, and he doesn't question why. Like, why would Josuke need a pen in the first place? As I said before, probably because Araki. Well, at least the Josuke surface reflection window sequence looked good in both versions, which leads to the next scene where Josuke is being controlled and attempts to kill Jotaro. There are some differences from that scene in both the anime and the manga. In the manga, Toshikazu's explanation on how he plans to kill Jotaro with a pen is a bit more detailed, saying that he now plans on stabbing it straight into his brain for an instant kill so that Crazy Diamond couldn't heal him. For that to work, there'd have to be a lot of force applied to stab a pen in the brain, since it has to get through the skull. Plus, the way Josuke was swinging his arm seemed like he was aiming for Jotaro's head. However, in the anime, Toshikazu just says that he plans to stab Jotaro in the head, not mentioning the brain, and if he survives, he'll be healed by Crazy Diamond. Then with Josuke's swinging arm, it looked like he was aiming more at the neck than on the head, which at first I thought it made a bit more sense if he aimed at a vital artery, but it wouldn't have been an instant kill. At least, I don't think it would be. I'm not an expert on these kinds of things. Anyway, the arc ends after the brief mention about Tamami, but it's extended on the episode with Toshikazu shown being taken into the ambulance after getting beaten up by the two bikers, and a brief cameo of Red Hot Chili Pepper popping out of the street lamp behind the group to spy on what happened. Just to remind us that there's still a main plot with him and the bow and arrow, which we won't get back to until episode 11. Sorry guys, I wanted to see the main plot again. So overall, as an adaptation, episode 7 was a decent one. It was an entertaining episode with the introduction of a new kind of transformation stand, and one of its highlights was the transitions used to get from one scene to the next. They're very well done. However, after reading the chapters, I was a bit bummed out that some parts and details were left out from the manga. I really wish that some of them were left in the episode, but since David's production wanted to make this 5-chapter arc into one episode, it can't be helped that they'd be left out. But I did appreciate the additions, including the ending scenes, even though, thanks to the ending scene, there was a part of me that wanted to see Red Hot Chili Pepper again. I mean, it's a freaking electric type stand, that's awesome! As for Toshikazu, I stated how I felt about him in my review, and my opinion on him still hasn't changed. He's way more messed up than Tamami, and he's even more of a creep. But, at least later on, he reveals this very important vital detail about stand users. But aside from that, I'm not sure what kind of role he'll play later on. In fact, I don't even know if he will appear again, aside from that one other time. And as for Tamami, considering his character, I actually didn't mind his appearance and his role in this arc. Hell, I actually felt sorry for him, which was weird because considering how he was in the previous arc. Will Tamami make another appearance again? I'm not sure. Now, there's also the matter with the mannequin. It was destroyed by Crazy Diamond, yet Toshikazu didn't receive any damage from it. Well, I believe it's because his stand is a bound type stand, similar to Wheel of Fortune, Strength, Tato, and the Fool. These types of stands prevent its user from taking damage if the stand itself is harmed or destroyed, as the stand is simply bound to a physical object, and can theoretically just rebind itself to another one if the previous one is destroyed. However, the only exception for that happening so far was Ebony Devil, but that was the first bound type stand that was introduced, so it's most likely that Araki didn't settle on the final rules yet. Then again, there's always a stand that somehow breaks the rules anyway. So, that was my anime manga comparison to episode 7. If you have any thoughts or opinions on the adaptation, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, if you've liked what you've seen so far, be sure to like and subscribe. Next time, it's episode 8, Yukako Yamagishi Falls in Love Part 1. Featuring the high school girl that we saw in episode 7, Yukako, and her, love for Koichi. Yep, it's another Koichi-focused arc. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a title page on chapter 292 featuring the stand users in this arc and some info on their stand abilities. Crazy Diamond can't cure diseases apparently, so much for curing cancer, and it seems that Echo's full potential hasn't been realized yet. Yeah. Foreshadowing.